North Korea has been under international sanctions for more than a decade now. The UN and its members have been ratcheting up the economic pressure on Pyongyang to force it to ditch its nuclear program, but to no avail. It's recently tested its most powerful nuclear bomb and new long-range missiles. So now the UN has imposed new sanctions, which it says are its toughest yet. The new measures include limits on the imports of crude oil and other oil imports. China, that's Pyongyang's main economic ally, supplies most of North Korea's crude, remember. Now, there's also a ban on textile exports. They represent Pyongyang's second biggest export, worth more than $700 million a year. North Koreans will also be limited from working overseas. The US estimates that will deprive the regime of $500 million in annual tax revenues.
We don't take pleasure in further strengthening sanctions today. We are not looking for war. The North Korean regime has not yet passed the point of no return. If it agrees to stop its nuclear program, it can reclaim its future. If it proves it can live in peace, the world will live in peace with it.
But some measures were avoided. For example, a proposed asset freeze and a travel ban on North Korean leader Kim Jong-un were both dropped. A complete ban on overseas workers was also considered, but ultimately rejected. The question now is whether these latest sanctions will have the desired effect. So let's go to New York now, and Nick Harper joins me from there. Nick, welcome to Money Talks. What are analysts saying as to how effective these new sanctions are going to be in terms of curbing North Korea's nuclear program?
Well, Azar, the hope is that it will have an impact. But there are some potentially very serious obstacles that still need to be overcome. Because, look, the headlines sound great. The United States is saying that with all of the sanctions, the latest imposed on Monday, the other ones added together, 90% of North Korea's revenue streams are now effectively banned. The exporting of a whole range of different things can no longer happen under these UN sanctions. For example, the textiles alone, as you mentioned, $700 million a year, which North Korea will now be losing. Last month, when they put the resolution in place, they said they were reducing revenue streams for North Korea by a third, taking it down from $3 billion to $2 billion a year that North Korea would be able to earn. And the latest set of sanctions reduces that even more. But it is now up to all of the countries right around the world, the international community, to abide by this latest resolution and to make sure that North Korea sticks to these obligations. So not just do those countries have to enforce all of these sanctions, but North Korea also needs to listen to them. And that has been a big problem in the past. As we've seen, North Korea doesn't really listen to any UN sanctions. It continues with the missile testing. It continues with its nuclear program. The hope is the sanctions will make a difference, but potentially they may not.
Nick Harper in New York, thank you ever so much.